Hello to everyone seeing this. I wanted to get on here because we need to talk about something that is a very, very important discussion. I want to make myself very clear on where I stand regarding the Technolarp situation. Before I start this video, I want to make it absolutely clear that I do not support their actions. I do not like what they are doing, especially towards someone who has passed away. At the same time, I do not want anyone to harass, threaten, or send death threats to Technolarp. I simply want to share my POV and how I see it, and I really hope nobody supports this kind of behavior. It is very wrong and disturbing in so many ways. Honestly, I highly recommend that you just report and block them, and do not interact with their page at all. The reason I'm saying this is because Technoblade's close friends and family do not like this, and it is making them incredibly uncomfortable. This person is already problematic as it is, and they will honestly likely be cancelled soon anyway. Now, for the people who don't know who Technolarp is, let me explain it to you. He is part of a trend of creators called LARPtubers, people who are online roleplay and copy the exact persona of other creators. In this case, he is copy-pasting Technoblade's entire identity. He uses a custom voice filter to sound exactly like him, mimics his specific humor, wears his Minecraft skin, and copies his exact video style. He is basically acting like a carbon copy of Technoblade. He's even gone as far as doing collaboration videos with Technoblade's real-life friends, acting like he is him while playing with them. He claims it is just a tribute, and has a disclaimer saying he isn't the real Technoblade, but he is still blowing up and pulling in thousands of views by using a dead creator's likeness. And let's not forget the financial side of this, because he is actually making money off of this entire situation. I know there are going to be people in the comments saying, "Oh, but he said all the money goes to charity, so it's fine." But honestly, I feel like the charity angle is just a massive excuse to cover his tracks and make a quick buck off a dead creator's name. If he really cared about the charity, things would be transparent, but he has already been caught creating a completely separate link, where the money goes straight into his own pocket instead. People across the community have already started digging into this, and pointing out what he is really doing behind the scenes. When you actually look at the proof, and see how he's manipulating the situation for profit, it is honestly so disturbing and wrong. To give you my honest POV on all of this, I had never even heard of this whole LARP thing before it suddenly popped up on my feed. But when I heard about it for the very first time, it actually made me feel so incredibly uncomfortable, and it is just disturbing in so many different ways. Like, what are we actually doing here? How is this not an illegal thing to do at this point? To completely steal someone's identity like this feels like it should violate some kind of law. The way I see it, it just sounds like someone who desperately wants to milk a tragic situation just to get views and money for themselves. It is pure exploitation, and it gets so much creepier when you realize they are going so far as to copy a dead person's actual voice without their knowledge or consent. It is incredibly unsettling because that person obviously has no idea at all what is happening, and they aren't here to defend themselves or tell this creator to stop. Taking someone's real voice and using it for your own gain like this is just so deeply wrong. And not to mention, I completely understand if some people out there actually feel comfortable watching this, or find some kind of comfort in it. But the reality is that not everyone is like that, and we have to respect those boundaries. Just because a few people are okay with it doesn't make it right. And I strongly feel like this kind of thing should be illegal because, at the end of the day, you are literally pretending to be a real person who is no longer here. It is identity theft under the guise of content creation, and it sets a really dangerous precedent for the future. It is going to cause massive, irreversible problems down the line if we just allow people to steal the identities of deceased creators for clout. And honestly, it has already become an incredibly problematic situation right now. We are seeing the drama, the discomfort, and the division it is causing in real time, which just proves exactly why we shouldn't be crossing these boundaries in the first place. Now, what makes this whole thing even worse, and honestly, the absolute most disturbing part about it, is the fact that someone is actually doing this to a dead person. That is exactly what this person Technolarp did. And it is just so incredibly wrong on every single level. To take the identity of someone who has passed away, someone who can't speak up or defend themselves, is just completely uncalled for. And to make a terrible situation even worse, they didn't even bother to get actual permission from Technoblade's family before doing any of this. They just went ahead and started exploiting his memory for their own page, without any respect for the people who are actually grieving his loss in real life. It is the most disrespectful and unsettling thing I have ever seen a creator do, and the fact that they are running this page without the family's consent makes it 1,000,000 times worse. Now, this creator did actually come out and say that they reached out and asked Technodad for permission, but they admitted that he never replied to them at all. Let's be completely real about this. If the parents or the family of someone who passed away do not reply to your message, that is the biggest, most obvious sign imaginable that you should not go ahead and turn their deceased relative into a LARP character for the internet. A lack of a response is absolutely not a yes. And it is definitely not a green light to just do whatever you want for views. Proceeding to make the account anyway after getting zero response is just pure disrespect at this point, and it can cause an immense amount of unnecessary grief, distress, and pain for a family that is still actively trying to heal behind the scenes. He hasn't even been gone for that long, and it is honestly so sad, frustrating, and exhausting that his memory is already being dragged into this kind of internet drama and becoming a massive issue once again. His family and close friends deserve peace and respect, not to have to deal with random people exploiting their profound loss for an online gimmick. Like, can't people just let him rest and leave his family alone? I honestly cannot even fully express the anger and frustration I have toward this person, especially because they have full, complete knowledge about this entire situation and the discomfort it's causing. Yet they still choose to keep going anyway. And yes, I do understand that they tried to defend themselves by saying Technodad can just reach out and tell them to shut the page down if he wants to. But let's be completely serious about something for a second. First of all, you shouldn't have even started this page in the first place. So putting the heavy emotional responsibility on a grieving father to come and police you is incredibly messed up and manipulative. And second of all, are we dead-ass serious right now? This creator clearly has absolutely no idea what it is actually like to grieve a loved one, let alone your own child who you raised, loved, and watched grow up, only to lose them. To expect a parent to have to take time out of their profound pain and healing just to message a random internet creator and explicitly beg them to stop exploiting their deceased son for clout is just so deeply selfish and disrespectful. They shouldn't have to ask you to stop. You should have had the basic human decency, maturity, and moral boundary not to do it at all. This entire project shouldn't have even existed in the first place. And the undeniable fact that they deliberately went ahead and did all of this completely behind the back of Technoblade's family is just so incredibly wrong. It causes so much unnecessary chaos and community drama, and it is almost certainly taking a massive emotional toll and absolutely not helping the family's mental health at all while they are trying to privately process their devastating loss. Furthermore, I've seen so many people in the comment sections trying to defend this behavior by claiming, "Oh, Techno would have found this hilarious and laughed about it if he was still alive." But let's be entirely real for a second, this is Technoblade we are talking about. The absolute truth is that we have completely no idea what he would actually say or how he would act regarding this situation. And we will never ever truly know either. Because of that, we have absolutely no right to go around making baseless assumptions, rewriting his boundaries, or putting words into a dead person's mouth, while he is no longer here with us to speak for himself. Using a deceased creator's hypothetical, imaginary reaction as a cheap shield to justify exploiting his literal identity, all while actively hurting his real-life family, is just completely out of line and deeply disrespectful. And not to mention, if Technoblade was still here with us and heard about someone using a deceased person's memory, legacy, and literal voice just to farm mindless content, I know for an absolute fact that he would be incredibly disappointed, frustrated, and deeply annoyed by that kind of cheap, exploitative behavior. He was someone who genuinely respected his community, valued authenticity, and cared about people. And this kind of parasitic content creation is the exact opposite of everything he stood for. This is absolutely not something that we should ever allow to be normalized on our feeds. And we as a community should not be supporting, defending, or validating it in any capacity, because it is just completely horrible on so many different levels. Let's be completely honest with ourselves for a second, and step away from the screen. You seriously have to ask yourself, would you honestly be okay with it if someone you personally knew, loved and lost was being used by a total stranger as an online puppet just to pull in views, social media fame, and ad revenue? If you lost a parent, a sibling, or a best friend, and suddenly saw a random creator copying their voice to make videos for clout, it would break your heart and make you absolutely furious. So I want everyone watching this to really sit down, have a serious think about this, and genuinely consider how Technodad, his entire grieving family, and his closest real-life friends must feel right now. Imagine the pain of having to watch a stranger exploit your deceased son, brother, or best friend, just to line their own pockets and chase internet clout, while you are left dealing with the actual, permanent reality of their absence. It is incredibly heartless, and we need to stop acting like this is just harmless online entertainment when it is causing real, silent, and deep pain to the people who actually loved him in the real world. At the end of the day, this is just pure, unadulterated disrespect toward a person who is no longer here to defend themselves, and it crosses a line that never should have been approached. Technodad has actually spoken out about this entire situation now, and he honestly sounds so incredibly lost, admitting to the community that he doesn't even know what to do next or how to handle this. When I look at his reaction from my POV, it genuinely sounds like he doesn't even know how to begin processing this kind of bizarre, unprecedented digital disrespect, and I do not blame him in the slightest for feeling completely overwhelmed. If I were in his shoes and someone dared to do something so invasive to my own child after they passed away, I feel like I would completely flip out with a level of rage I didn't even know I had. The sheer amount of anger, grief, and betrayal I would feel watching a stranger manipulate my child's image would be absolutely paralyzing, and I would be so incredibly upset that there wouldn't even be enough words in the language to fully explain the depth of that pain. It is an entirely natural, deeply human reaction to want to fiercely protect your child's memory, and the fact that a grieving father is being forced into a corner where he feels helpless, confused, and violated by an online LARP is just heartbreaking. No parent should ever have to navigate the digital desecration of their child's legacy for the sake of internet views. And the fact that this creator has put Technodad in a position where he is publicly struggling to figure out how to handle this intrusion is just a testament to how toxic, invasive, and thoughtless this entire project really is. All I am saying is that, from my absolute POV, this is just so wrong to do without a single shred of actual permission. And the fact that they are targeting a dead person who cannot speak up or defend themselves makes the entire situation a million times worse. On top of that, we have absolutely no idea who this anonymous creator behind the page actually is in real life, what their true motives are, or what they are planning to do with this massive platform next. So I seriously do not trust a single thing they are doing. And honestly, neither should anyone else who actually cares about boundaries. And please do not even get me started on the fact that they are using his actual, real voice through either AI generation or some creepy voice changer. Whatever the hell it is they are doing behind the scenes. I freaking hate it so much, and it is just creepy as hell. To take a deceased person's unique voice, replicate it mechanically, and force it to say whatever you want for internet clout completely crosses the line into something entirely dystopian, disturbing, and deeply unnatural. It is not creative, it is not a tribute, and it is definitely not okay. It is just a deeply unsettling, untrustworthy, and disrespectful invasion of privacy that exploits someone's memory for views. And it needs to be shut down immediately before it becomes a normalized trend. So please, I am begging you to just respect this, and I truly, deeply hope that everyone watching this can understand what I am trying to say here, and realize how incredibly bad and toxic this situation actually is. This isn't just some standard internet drama, a petty disagreement, or a harmless trend that we can all just shrug at and forget about by next week. It is a serious, fundamental violation of basic human decency, respect for the deceased, and the undeniable right of a grieving family to be left in peace to heal. When you actually step back and look at the facts of what is happening, the complete and utter lack of permission, the blatant exploitation of a deceased creator's identity, the incredibly creepy use of replicated audio, and the undeniable emotional toll this is taking on Technodad and the rest of his loved ones, there is absolutely no justifiable excuse for this page to exist, let alone continue running for a single second longer. We as a community need to draw a massive permanent line in the sand right now and collectively decide that we are not going to support, view, or normalize this kind of toxic, parasitic content creation anymore. If we don't speak up, stand together, and firmly reject this behavior now, we are setting a terrifying precedent where it is suddenly deemed acceptable to turn anyone's real-life tragedy into an online gimmick, and it is only a matter of time before it happens to someone else's child, sibling, or best friend. I really hope that people can finally look past the screen, recognize the real-world pain and anxiety this is causing behind the scenes, and choose to do the right thing by unfollowing, reporting, and walking away from this account for good. Let's actually show the family the respect they deserve, instead of giving a stage to people who only care about views and clout. Thank you for listening.